we are inside a chamber that located about maybe 7 meters under the ground. And this chamber is a perfect location to make us to believe that Cleopatra and Mark Antony could be buried in a chamber like this.
The secret tomb of Cleopatra is finally found. Get ready to be transported back in time to a world of intrigue, power, and romance as we uncover the incredible legacy of the legendary Queen Cleopatra. Unleashing a discovery that has left the archaeological world stunned, a team of experts may have finally unlocked one of history's most intriguing mysteries. For decades, they have been investigating a long-forgotten tunnel, buried deep beneath an ancient temple in Egypt, suspected by some to lead to the lost tomb of Cleopatra and Mark Antony. The excitement is palpable as they venture deeper into the tunnel, hoping to uncover the secrets that lie within. Will they be the ones to solve the riddle that has perplexed historians for centuries? Let's delve into the heart of ancient Egypt and uncover the truth behind one of history's most enduring legends. Cleopatra, the famous Egyptian queen, became queen upon the death of her father, Ptolemy XII, in the year 51 BCE. She shared the role of governing Egypt with her two brothers, Ptolemy XIII and Ptolemy XIV, as well as her son, Ptolemy XV Caesar. After the Roman army, led by Octavian, defeated their combined troops, both Mark Antony and Cleopatra committed suicide, and Egypt was thereafter conquered by the Romans. Cleopatra was the only woman in antiquity who was known to have actively influenced Roman politics during a pivotal juncture, and as a result, she became the archetype of the romantic femme fatale. What kind of a ruler was Cleopatra? The scant existing contemporary Egyptian texts imply that she was immensely popular among her people. Cleopatra and the other Alexandria-based Egyptian kings trace their ancestry back to Alexander the Great's general Ptolemy I Soter, who was himself of Greek descent. They would have been distinct from the overwhelming Egyptian population due to their use of the Greek language and culture. Cleopatra, however, made an effort to learn Egyptian, unlike her predecessors. She had traditional Egyptian-like style portraits painted of her for Egyptian audiences. A papyrus from the year 35 BCE refers to Cleopatra as Philopatris, which means she who loves her country. Cleopatra used national pride to solidify her power by proclaiming herself a true Egyptian queen. Cleopatra's foreign policy objective was to protect Egypt's autonomy from the rapidly expanding Roman Empire, in addition to retaining her power. By trading with Eastern nations, Arabia, and possibly as far away as India, she built up Egypt's economy, enhancing her country's standing as a world power. Cleopatra hoped that by allying with the Roman general Mark Antony, she could prevent Octavian, the heir to Julius Caesar and Antony's adversary, from turning Egypt into a tributary state of Rome. It is apparent from historical records that Cleopatra and Antony loved each other and that she bore Antony 3 children, but the Egyptian queen also found great strategic value in their union. Although some recent historians have portrayed her as a capable and popular Egyptian monarch, the Romans, led by her archenemy Octavian, spread propaganda about Cleopatra that both during her lifetime and in the century following her death, portrayed her as a dangerous prostitute who used sex, witchcraft, and guile to achieve power beyond what was rightfully hers as a woman. Horace, writing in the late 1st century BC, referred to her as a crazy queen, plotting to demolish the capital and topple the Roman Empire. About a century and a half later, the Roman poet Lucan called her the shame of Egypt, the lascivious fury who was to become the bane of Rome. When tensions in Rome subsided, the Greek historian Plutarch wrote a more nuanced account of her life. Cleopatra's love for Antony was the driving force in her tragic hero arc. The incredible circumstances of her death after Octavian's victory over Antony became the subject of innumerable paintings and dramatizations over the next 2 millennia, including Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra and John Dryden's All for Love. On August 12, 30 BC, Cleopatra and her 2 closest slaves committed suicide to avoid being captured by Octavian. Since not even the men who discovered the bodies could agree on the details of her death, we will never know if the infamous asp or a hidden vial of poison was responsible for the queen's demise. But the tale of the asp has survived, and the depiction of her death has become more iconic than anything else, guaranteeing Cleopatra's place in history forever. There have been remarkable archaeological discoveries made in Egypt, ranging from the most incredible treasures unearthed in King Tut's tomb to the Great Pyramid of Giza. Both of these landmarks date back to prehistoric times. The 21st century, on the other hand, is in desperate need of a world-changing discovery which may or may not be connected to the identification of the location where Cleopatra was laid to rest. Historians and fans of archaeology alike are familiar with the Queen of the Ptolemaic Kingdom. Although the previous monarch of the Kingdom of Egypt is well documented in mythology and stories that are based on real events, many of which are still recited today, her tomb is still a mystery. Archaeologists have been putting in a lot of work recently, and their findings imply that Cleopatra's tomb may be buried beneath an ancient city. Even though the discovery is still in its preliminary phases, it has already led to several significant thoughts and discoveries. Dr. Kathleen Martinez of the University of Santo Domingo is acknowledged for her investigation into the last resting location of Cleopatra, a work that she began in 2005. Martinez spent decades researching more than 20 temples in and around Alexandria, Egypt, and finally got a break when her team made a significant discovery in the investigation of the mystery. In addition, Martinez looks up to Cleopatra as an educated and accomplished lady of her era, which is one of the driving forces behind her quest to locate the queen's ultimate burial place. Researchers believe that Cleopatra is buried beneath Taposiris Magna, an ancient city located near Alexandria, along Egypt's northern coast. This conclusion was reached as a result of the search for Cleopatra's tomb. This ancient city was established in 280 BCE and served as a center for commercial and industrial activities while also providing tens of thousands of inhabitants with a place to call home. It has been hypothesized by experts that Cleopatra was laid to rest in the Temple of Osiris, which is the location of her tomb. After looking in more than a dozen different temples, according to Martinez, the hunt for the ancient queen's tomb was getting close to being over. Her study efforts eventually led her to believe that Cleopatra's tomb resides beneath the old city, and she was eventually given clearance by the Egyptian government to perform a 2-month archaeological dig to confirm her claim, which was an unusually limited timescale. Her research efforts eventually led her to believe that the tomb of Cleopatra rests beneath the ancient city. When the team discovered the ancient tunnels, they had finally hit the proverbial gold jackpot. The tunnels were carved from solid rock in between Taposiris Magna, which was considered to be a geometric miracle. The tunnels are 43 feet underground and extend 4,300 feet in total length. The tunnel is strikingly similar to the Eupalinos Tunnel, which was built in the 6th century on the gorgeous Greek island of Samos, which is located in the Aegean Sea. Taposiris Magna is claimed to have had a significant portion buried in water as a result of its exposure to natural disasters throughout the millennia, particularly earthquakes from the past. This is in contrast to the ancient towns that are still standing today. As a consequence of this, Martinez and the other members of her research team suspect that a section of the tunnels that lead to Cleopatra's royal tomb could need to be excavated underwater. If Cleopatra's tomb was discovered, it would be a one-of-a-kind find because no other tomb of a Ptolemaic ruler has ever been located. In addition, scholars are keeping their fingers crossed that her tomb will be found to be completely intact, as well as full of treasures and valuables that have been preserved throughout the centuries. This would be in sharp contrast to the mausoleums and tombs of other ancient kings. Discovering her tomb would also provide information about the lifestyle of ancient Egyptian royalty during the final era. Although locating Cleopatra's tomb is still the primary objective of this archaeological dig, several other priceless artifacts have been unearthed in the course of the investigation. According to reports, the tunnels contain thousands of riches, including dozens of coins portraying the visages of Alexander the Great and Cleopatra. A bust of the deceased queen, statues made of alabaster from the Ptolemaic dynasty, clay pots, and a variety of other Greco-Roman artifacts were also among the treasures that were uncovered. The Roman general, who was also known as Mark Antony, is said to have been laid to rest in Cleopatra's burial spot after he died by his sword, and in Cleopatra's embrace, according to the legends that have been passed down through the millennia. Cleopatra is said to have been bitten on purpose by an asp, so that she would die a few weeks later and be buried next to her beloved. This legend is well known. If Cleopatra is discovered buried beneath the ancient city, then there's a good chance that Mark Antony will also be found there. Egyptologist and former Minister of State for Antiquities Affairs of Egypt, Zahi Hawass, made a statement that locating Cleopatra's and Mark Antony's tomb would be the most important discovery of the 21st century. A similar finding to that of King Tut's tomb might keep archaeologists, historians, and researchers busy for years to come, while also providing insight into the nature of funerary temples in ancient civilizations. King Tut's tomb was discovered in 1922. In addition, it is possible that long-standing concerns regarding the queen herself, especially the nature of her passing, may eventually be resolved. Zahi Hawass stated that even if the tomb of the ancient queen isn't found under the ancient city, there were still some discoveries made inside and outside the temple that provide significant insight into the ancient world. These items, which range from statues made of alabaster to expensive coins, continue to provide Egyptologists and other academics with important information. Archaeologists have discovered a massive and spectacular tunnel beneath the temple in the ancient ruined city of Taposiris Magna on the Egyptian shore. The tunnel is being described as a geometric miracle by the experts. Kathleen Martinez of the University of Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic and her colleagues discovered the structure 13 meters below the ground while they were conducting continuing excavations and research of the temple. An amazing 1,305 meters of sandstone had been cut through the tunnel, which stood at a height of just 2 meters. According to the Egyptian Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities, its layout is strikingly comparable to that of the 1,036-meter Tunnel of Eupalinos, which was an aqueduct built in the 6th century BCE on the island of Samos in Greece. When it was first built, the conduit set new records for both its design and construction, earning it the reputation of being an engineering miracle. Even if the Taposiris Magna tunnel isn't the only tunnel of its kind, the engineering behind it nonetheless is incredibly astounding. Although there are similarities between the Taposiris Magna tunnel and the Eupalinos tunnel, the function of the Taposiris Magna is not understood at this time. Parts of the tunnel are located underwater. According to previous statements made by Zahi Hawass, who served as the Minister of Antiquities at the time, if we discover the tomb of Cleopatra and Mark Antony, it'll be the most important discovery of the 21st century. And even if we did not find the tomb of Cleopatra and Mark Antony, we discovered significant findings both within and outside of the temple here. That's all for the video today, but we'll be right back with more amazing videos soon, so don't forget to give this one a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel.